Shwai, hello there, Noel James here. Welcome to a new show on Swan Television here in the heart of Swansea. And my name is Noel James. We're coming up to Christmas, and so I'm known as the first Noel. So we're experimenting with the title for the show. It could be called The First Noel Show. It could be called Noel James in Fact and Fiction. As I am a comedian, tonight we will have a comedy flavour to the show, and we've got 4 very special guests for you this evening. We'll also be mentioning a new book by the comedian Adam Bloom, Finding Your Comic Genius. Adam will be playing a gig in the Mumbles at the beginning of December. But the first thing I want to talk about is climate change, because I think, well, it's important to... I messed that up. It's one way of breaking the ice, is what I was trying to say. But let's turn to our first guest, Anthea Redfern. And Anna runs Cinema and Co, which is a very it's a very laid-back sort of venue with deck chairs, and it has a cinema, obviously, and it has performances of all kinds on the high street opposite the castle. How long have you been running that, Anna?
Your jacket looks like it's made of a deck chair, but how many times have you been to the cinema? The seats are made out of pallets, not deck chairs. But anyway, I digress.
I had a lovely pallet once. It was made out of 2 coffee tables. It's brilliant.
7 years, was that the question? How long have I had?
7 years.
7 years in September. So the first film we put on was Blues Brothers.
Right. And I played your venue a number of times, and last time I did it, you yourself, well, you introduced a video of you singing a parody of Downtown by Petula Clark.
Yes.
And I noticed your singing voice was excellent. So I'm wondering, why did you not become a performer yourself as opposed to run a venue?
Because I'm an opportunist, I guess, and when I was...
Hitler?
Don't get me started on that, because that's the word on the street, apparently. That
Sorry.
I'm a Nazi. Yes, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. A student set it up on his gap year, and it was only supposed to be a pop-up cinema, and he wanted it to continue when he went back to uni. So my background was fundraising, so I met up to see about getting funding to keep it going, but I was so inspired by the place. I got a business loan and bought it from him, and it felt like he'd made it just for me, because I've always been a drifter, I guess, and pretty good at most things, and knowing the right people or being in the right place at the right time, and never really known what to do with myself, and always been full of ideas, but never been able to bring them to fruition. So it's almost like he's made a vehicle for them. So
that the video, the singing that I saw you do, that was something you actually came up with because you were a bit bored during lockdown. You didn't have any work on, so you sort of went into something different.
Yeah, so I was actually on a choral singing holiday in Morocco when we went into lockdown, and it was ended up being there for 2 weeks because they closed the airspace. And when we were finally managed to get home, we came back to lockdown Britain, and I suddenly had all this time on my hands, and I was very inspired by the holiday. And yes, I wrote a parody of Downtown, calling it Twin Town in lockdown. So it's a nod to Swansea, the pretty shitty city. Oops, sorry.
Well, it's a quote from...
Okay, lovely town. There we go. That's better. And I love the song as well.
I believe Dylan Thomas did describe Swansea as the graveyard of ambition.
Yes.
Which is, do you think Swansea is the graveyard of ambition, or do you think it's got more to offer?
Well, I used to look at that in a positive light, in that you have everything you need in Swansea, so then you don't have any need for ambition. But what I've been through recently, I'm not quite sure if that's...
Swansea is also the European capital of measles.
Is it?
Yes, and they always say you must never base yourself in the provinces if you want to be spotted. But there you go. So anyway, I've got a show coming up at Cinema and Co on November the 17th, which is called Paul is Dead and Other Conspiracy Theories. And so, yeah, let's hope we get a crowd for that then. Obviously, there's a lot of politics in that show, so I can't really talk about it tonight. But I've got the poster, actually. Yeah, I mean, you have all sorts of different artists at your venue. Didn't you had Katie Hopkins a few weeks ago, didn't you?
Yes, that was a stand-up comedy show called Live, Love, Laugh.
Yeah.
And yes, the person she took the Michael out of the most was herself. And but it seems that even sense of humour is policed these days. But I find sense of humour like a sort of coping mechanism, I guess, for life in general, really. And yes, we should be poking fun at this clown world we seem to find ourselves in.
Yeah, I think comedy's definitely got a social function, you know. And I know a lot of people were on Facebook were sort of kind of upset that Katie Hopkins had played your venue, but I did a comedy gig recently in Swindon in the Mecca Theatre, and I noticed a big poster for her tour there, you know. So it's just, you know, I mean, it's just, there's plenty of room in the world for everybody, I think, to, you know, it's only performance. But your brother actually runs a venue as well, doesn't he, in the Uplands?
Yes, he's playing real life Monopoly. We used to share a bedroom when we were growing up, and he'd wake me up in the middle of the night just to play Monopoly. And now he's playing it in real life. So
Is it Noah's Ark, is it?
Noah's Yard in
Noah's Yard.
Uplands. Yes, he's got Bar St James in Uplands, the Vietnamese, the clothes shop on the other side of Noah's Yard, the observatory on the front. And Flickering Light in Wine Street as well. So
well, let's hope he doesn't pick up the wrong card and go to jail.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Anna, it's been a pleasure talking to you. You've been very patient with Phoebe, the dog, there.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I
Yeah,
was
shall
gonna
we shake hands?
And I do recommend Cinema & Co. for the cakes, the pastries, the coffee. You have a wonderful mushroom coffee there.
We do, yes.
Yes.
Not the magic kind,
Not
unfortunately.
the magic kind, no. No, I mean, I would never take anything like that. Certainly, well, I should have before this show, but hey, let's. I mean, you're very welcome to sit there, or if you wanna go back to the Cinema Co right now, you know, you do what you like. But we're gonna move on to the second guest this evening. We have. Yes, we have Jeanie Rebane, who is. I've known Jeanie a number of years. She is an actor. She works as a funeral celebrant, which is a very unusual job. And she also has recently acquired a dog called Phoebe, she's brought with a very well-behaved dog. And of course, when you do comedy, sometimes you get dogs in the audience, especially on Guy Fawkes night. The entire audience were dogs, because it's only people who don't like fireworks who come to dogs. People come. What? I'd like to write. I love dogs. I mean, a good sheepdog is hard to come by. I was going to write a poem tonight. I was going to say a poem, an ode to a bark. I should have called it Bark Ode, because that scans better. But hey, Jeanie.
Yes, no, hi.
So you also are into things like esoteric things, spiritual things.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about what you're into?
Well, thank you for the introduction, and really interesting. And Cinema & Co, just want to say, what a gorgeous venue. I love drinking there and eating pizza and going to the cinema and all the amazing events. So
and sitting on the deck chairs.
And sitting on the pallet chairs.
So, yeah, you say that the life is determined by numbers.
Well, yeah. I mean,
so that means like astrology and stuff?
Well, everything, as far as I'm concerned, everything. I'm not talking about your horoscope in the local newspaper, which of course is usually ridiculed, and it's like you're going to meet a handsome man on a Saturday night, and that's never happened to me, by the way.
No, it was a Friday night.
Yeah, Tuesday afternoon, 1976, if I remember rightly. So astrology, in its larger term, is a global way of looking at reality. So if you look at the calendar and you look at the months and the days of the week, they're all numbers. They're all named after mythical gods, like Janus is the door, the goddess of opening, and then their numbers, which October was originally octo, it's 8.
Yeah.
It's the Latin for 8, but it was bumped because Julius Caesar and Emperor Augustus had egos and they needed the month. So, you know, I look at everything in terms of, if you like, astrology, and I've always had a long-term interest in tarot. I learnt to read tarot in Swansea years ago. No, you can't. I'm just on a float.
Oh, sorry.
No, just jump in whenever you like.
Do you think then that people's lives are determined already by the stars, or do you think people have?
I think what I would say is they're like a guidebook.
Okay, so I'll tell you. I've got a book here by Philip Schofield's autobiography. Am I allowed to mention that, Mike?
Of course you can.
It's not political, you know. Life's what you make it. Now, life's what you make it. And this is the new edition, just out. And if you open it up, I've forgotten the prop. Bugger.
It's life's like that, isn't it?
That next
life's
time.
like that.
Life is like that.
I forgot what the question was now.
Well, you were going. Are you going to show us something?
Well,
about
yeah. So
tarot
So I'm saying that tarot, numerology, and astrology are inherent in every single culture, whether people understand it or not. And numbers, and I think even probably now, people who are into computers and gaming, everything's code, and as are we, because we break down into frequencies. So everything's numbers. So tarot, if you like, is just a tool for kind of understanding reality, and it's something that I like to use. And so yeah, there's you know, everything is astrology, numerology, and tarot, and I've got a little thing that you might want to see.
Yeah. Do we need a table?
We can use a table.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say life, we're all frequencies. I mean, I took part in a Mexican wave once, and I was by myself. Does that make me a Mexican particle? I mean, Mexican wave particle duality.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, Noel, you create your own reality. You can be whatever you want now. You can be whatever you like.
Yeah. I mean, I used to, when I was a kid, I used to have all those magazines, unexplained magazines, you know, and they used to have all these mysterious phenomena. But I ended up going to college and studied physics, you know, and like physicists like to think everything can be explained. But I'm not sure if everything can be, really. Yeah.
Well, I think if you look at astrocartography, which, hello, no, we're not going that, Phoebe. Astrocartography, for those who don't understand it, astro means astrology, cartography is maps, and everything is to do with where we live. So our birthdays are numbers, map coordinates, it's longitude, latitude. All the great ancient sites are on ley lines, which are to do with an energetic frequency, as are we. Now, the reason why I moved to Swansea is because I've got friends here, and I've lived here since 2000.
You've got no ambition.
I've got no ambition, and I thought, we're better. But no, because my astrocartography chart, at the time of my birth, had a north and south node, which is your nodes of destiny. South node is past life or your past experience. Okay. North node is future destiny. And at the time of my birth in Leeds, straight to Swansea on that particular astrocartography line. So, and trust me, the powers that be, and who ruling the world currently, but I think they might be losing their stronghold, use astrology, as do the governments of the world. They use it. So this is just a kind of fun way that you can do it personally. So I'm going to use my own birthday, because I'm not one of those women who actually, I don't mind telling people how old I am. So,
how old are you then?
Well, if in vampire years, 2002. Okay. But I am currently 63. I'm 63. Cool. And then
we had a new Beatles single out this week. Last ever, they say.
Really though, is it the last? So I've done a little sum here. So I don't know if you can see that. So I've put my birthday down.
Hold up to the middle one there, yeah.
I've done my birthday there, which is the 2nd of February 1960. And a bit like the old-fashioned pound, shillings and pence, you add down and then we're adding across, which comes to 20. Okay? So 20 would be my personality in this lifetime. Okay? So it's a bit like I've come in. Some people believe that we choose our lives this time. You know, reincarnation again exists in every culture throughout the world. So 20 in the tarot is the high priestess. Sorry, 20 is judgment card, and then 2 and 0. 2 is the High Priestess. So my personality, if you like, as an Aquarian woman living in these times is Judgment, and my soul number, which is 2 and 0 is 2, reduces to 2, which is my soul number. And that's a very well-known, again, culture throughout the world, is a way of kind of like, a bit like astrology is a personality experience. So no, of course, not all Capricorns and Aquarians are the same, but they do have certain traits.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like, you know, certainly that's what everything's elements: earth, wind, fire,
so that
water.
says something about your personality.
It does. And then every year, so you get what they call a year card. Now, you may have heard it say that this is a year of the, like, so in Chinese astrology, it would be the year of the cat or the year of the rat.
Yeah.
Those are 12-year cycles. But every year there is a number that is using this particular method. So 2 and 2, and then we add it to the actual year that we're currently in. So that's for 7, 2, and that's 11, okay? So same principle again. You add 2 and 2, my birthday, 2 this year. And this works for everybody's birthday, by the way. You add your numbers, you add down, you add a cross. And that's justice. Now, one of the things with the justice card, so that's anybody born on the 2nd of February, doesn't matter what year it is. The justice card is to do with parking fines, about getting into balance. You might have some run-ins with the law, legal documents. These are some of the possibilities that are particular to 11, which is a particular number. Don't forget, every number and every letter is a frequency. Because don't forget, the original, I think it's a Merrick alphabet, numbers were letters. And don't forget, all numbers are symbols. They're just squiggles. It's just the you know, the meaning that we allot to them in any culture. So there's a good example. I've had 2 parking. I drove in a bus lane, not on purpose. I wasn't even driving a bus, no. I was in my own car. And I got a parking ticket outside my own house because I hadn't got residence parking. Yeah. So that's very typical of that. Now, last year, my number, because 2 and 2 with 2022, was 10, Wheel of Fortune, which is all to do with changes of fortune. So it's like a big move, the end of a relationship, a new location. All of those things happened. My dad died, and I also moved location, and I started a new life back in Swansea. So Wheel of Fortune is very much about that. So this is a way that people who are interested in, if you like, more esoteric things, you can do this and get some insight.
But do you get annoyed because a lot of people would make fun of this sort of thing? And
no, I'm thank goodness, because I'm the grand old age of 63. Really, other people, what do they say? Other people's opinions of me is their own business. I know this works for me, and it speaks to a lot of people. I do tarot readings, and I know that it gives them a lot of insight. What they do with that, all of it is, I believe, is you create your own reality. This is just like a guideline. This is like, I know now the weather, I can go out with an umbrella because I've got more information.
Okay.
So numbers are just information, like in any walk of life.
Okay.
You'll have to come and do a reading at the cinema.
Yeah, I'd love to. That'd be great. Yeah. And if anybody, you know, via the show wants any information. But this is a very easy thing to do, and you can look it up online. You can just do your numbers, and then you can just literally go, like, for the argument's sake, I'm a chariot as a personality. You just type in chariot personality, and you get tons of information online. So you don't need a reader, although obviously it's nice if you get one.
It is. And you're also working as a celebrant in funerals. What does that job involve then?
Well, I just feel very privileged to do that. I've worked with a lot of families in Swansea, and instead of having a vicar, I would call myself more of a humanist, although what I found is that I am not really, don't quite fit into the humanist either, because I think if you wanted to have the old rugged cross because you like the hymn and you wanted AC/DC, I believe you should have both. And I've done services where they've had a hymn. So I do the service, and I work with the families closely, and I try and find out as much about the person as a personality, so that when I stand up there,
the person who's passed.
Yeah, so when I stand up there on his behalf, they know exactly who I'm talking about. So I will literally say, you know, who was their favourite comedian, you know, what did they like to drink, where would they like to holiday, what was their pet hate, so that anyone, even if you didn't know them and they walked in to the service, they would know what this person was like, and that's the way you can honour them, by celebrating, you know, the life that they lived. So I love doing it. Yeah, it's cool.
I mean, I was born on Christmas Eve.
Yes.
Right now, I'm a Capricorn.
Yes.
But I'm near Sagittarius, which makes me a saggy corn.
I don't want to say.
But does Christmas, being born on Christmas, does that influence people's personality, you think, in some way? Or?
Well, I think it does as regards birthday and Christmas presents. I remember, that's
exactly.
not a fun thing to have. But again, with astrology, a rising sign. My rising sign is Sagittarius, because I was born at 5:05 in the morning. You could be born at 5:15 and it would be a completely different rising sign. So your birth chart, which you probably know, is incredibly complex. I mean, it is one of the first science. You know, if you want to be religious about it, and I'm not religious, it's like, you know, the three wise men wouldn't have got where they were going without the stars. Sailors,
so this goes back thousands of years then, does it?
Since the beginning of time, I believe.
Yeah.
And beyond that, because everything is a map of the stars, as are we, because we're made of stardust. We're made of stardust.
Well, it can't go back beyond the beginning of time.
Can't it? I mean, you know, I don't know.
Write in, folks. Tell us what you think. Well, thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Jeanie, for that contribution.
Thank you. You're welcome.